Welcome to a new episode of Potation Rotation. I am Paul, and today we're going to be talking with my brother Keith. Say hello, Keith.
What's up?
Or you could have just said hello, Keith, and been a little bit funny about it. And today in the rotation, we are drinking Monaco Cocktail Blue Crush. I'll have a close-up on this.
It's good. I don't know if I've never had it, but I've heard it's delicious.
It's like one of those, like when I said in the previous video that I kind of like the seltzer drinks. It's not really a seltzer drink at all. I mean, it's got a premium mixed drink made with vodka, gin, rum, tequila, and blue Curaçao. Did I say that right? I never know if I'm saying that right.
Curaçao.
Liqueur, natural and artificial flavors. Again, Monaco Blue Crush. It's a gluten-free drink for all you ladies out there that like the gluten-free stuff. And we're going to go ahead and pop that open.
Oh, you should have told me. I'm going to do it in sync. Fucker. Alright, hey.
Son of a bitch.
Cheers.
That wasn't a social distance dink and sink.
We're recording this in the future.
Dink and drink.
This is 2021. Straight from the future.
We're time travelers.
We're in a bunker.
And I got my glass here because in the rotation I was going to drink something else, and then I remember I had these.
Dude, this tastes like this tastes like Four Loko.
Does it?
Yeah.
I've never had that.
Oh man, I wouldn't recommend it unless you want to get stupid. It tastes like Four Loko. I don't know.
Well, look, this small ass can has 9% alcohol by volume, which is right around where my Abbey Triple is, and Abbey Triple can make you stupid pretty quick too.
We'll see where this gets me.
But
this tastes dangerous.
I've got two more.
This tastes dangerous.
Or we can go for the at some point go for the coffee rum chata stuff that I've got. All right, but anyway. So anyway, they're not a sponsor, but if any alcoholic beverage company wants to become a sponsor, I'm open for it. Just putting that out there. So today, what we want to talk about, and I want to get it out of the way early on in the channel's history here, so to speak, is our past with being paranormal investigators. And I want to get out of the way because when people usually find out about it, they usually have questions. They usually want to see stuff.
What's your scariest thing you've ever seen?
Yeah, or have you actually ever seen a ghost with your own eyes and stuff like that, you know? And so anyway, so I wanted to kind of get this out of the way now because if this channel does end up growing and people do find out what I've done in the past, I thought I could just point out this video and oh yeah.
Dude, check out how sweaty my hands are.
Look, mine too. Mine too. So to get it out of the way and point this video out to people so that they know, hopefully they can get all their questions answered. So, so Keith was a part of the whole paranormal investigation, ghost hunting thing for a while, but I started it first. And I will, did you notice I'm wearing my Ghostbusters Chasing the Pac-Man Ghosts for this video?
Weird. Some would say everyone is chasing ghosts.
Oh, that's heavy.
That's really deep.
That is. I got my start probably about 11-ish years ago, maybe 12. I wasn't...
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like it was like 2008.
It was around 2008, yeah. It was around the year I got married, maybe even slightly before that. It could have been 2007.
Because I remember you mentioning something when you were engaged. You were like, me and this dude are doing this ghost hunting thing, blah, blah, blah. And then I don't think it was until maybe a year later that I joined you guys for that.
Yeah, that could be right. My timeline gets blurry after about 5 years. So you go back like to 2015 and prior. There's only 2 events that I can really remember. Actually 3. And that's my marriage, my divorce, and then meeting my current girlfriend. And that's really about it. So, and my divorce and meeting my current girlfriend kind of are within a month of each
It's
other.
weird how memories work that way.
Yeah.
It's just like these one giant chunks of like life events, and then everything else just doesn't fucking matter.
But I can tell you one thing: 5 years from now, I will definitely remember this night with some of these hardships that we went through prior to filming this video. I will always remember the night of doing a certain project and how it was a massive temporary failure at this point. But
I don't want to see anything Marvel for like the next year.
okay. Well, with COVID-19, I don't think that's going to be a problem.
That's not going to be a problem. Yeah.
So anyway, so what happened is through my now ex-wife had met a couple people who had started a paranormal investigation group. Okay, I'm not going to name any names in any of this.
I think they still use it, right?
What's that?
They still use that name?
They still
Right.
use the same name. They are active, although they don't do the ghost stuff
It's
anymore.
not the same.
They are more like cryptids. Yeah, right. So, and this was at the time where like ghost hunters and ghost adventures and all that kind of stuff on TV was like huge. And you had paranormal groups popping up all over the place, right? So they were just...
Me too.
Oh, man.
Me too.
I'm going to have to beat you at
I
some
can
point.
taste some fucking pizza. Came right back.
Alfonso's Pizza
Hey, that's
in Milwaukee. The fucking best pizza. I'm telling you right
100.
now. Alfonso's, if you want to sponsor, I'll be more than happy. Shout out to Alfonso's. Anyway,
This is going to be longer than 20 minutes. Sorry.
the magic of editing. So what happened is I heard that they had the group thing, and I wasn't really interested at first. However, I kind of have a history of being sensitive to the other side.
You're real sensitive.
I am extremely sensitive.
So sensitive.
Like, I get touched and I cry.
Yeah.
So...
I've seen it.
I know.
Go ahead.
So, you know, the whole, like, I hear dead people type thing, it's kind of like that, but it's really kind of not. It's more like, it's like a sense, but not that deep of a sense. Like, I don't actually have conversations with dead people, more or less. Like, I sometimes can get messages and stuff like that. And I didn't say anything to these people at first about it, and life went on for a little while. And then they were kind of like asking me like if I wanted to be brought in or whatever, and I'm like, well, you know, and I kind of said about what I could do, the gift that I had, and I'm like, I don't know if I feel like that would be exploiting it. And I said, I'll tell you what. I said, I told this gentleman, I said, let's like take me to someplace like simple, like let's do something simplistic, you know. Because he kind of showed me some of the stuff that they had already worked on. And so we went to a cemetery in the northernmost county of Illinois one night. And to be honest with you, like that first time out, and it was like just flashlight, a camera, and some audio recorders. And that's it. And this is going to be like a regular thing during podcasts, probably, by the way. Just let you know. Maybe we should do like a belch count at the
I know
end.
how to fucking... Actually, I think in one of my episodes I left a very loud belch on one of my... I have my own show.
Yes,
so
we'll plug the
I'll
podcast
plug it
at
later.
the end.
But, yeah, I think I just let it in there randomly. Anyway.
So I was I was a little scared that first time going out at 10 o'clock at night.
I mean,
in a cemetery.
I mean, we'll get to it. I'm sure we'll get to it. But I was fucking terrified the first fucking one that I went on with you guys to that residence in Illinois.
Oh yeah. Okay, yep. I know
We'll
what
get
you're talking
there.
about.
We'll get there.
Okay,
But-
so I guess it's not that blurry. I remember that. I remember the first time he went out. And a lot of the, I mean, it wasn't an initial fear, but what happened is like, and I'm getting chills right now just thinking about this. Like I heard a disembodied voice. I heard somebody talking. We were the only two people out there. Desolate country road, and there was like a whole, this will identify what cemetery it was, so I won't go that far, but there was like this folklore tale that's associated with the cemetery back in the woods out there, and that didn't help at all. But I'm hearing like a man's voice, and it's neither of us, you know? And it's my first time out. And I'm like, and I asked the guy, I'm like, did you hear that? And he heard it too. It wasn't just me, you know? And later on, when we went through, well, he went through the evidence. I wasn't really keen on how to go through evidence yet. But it was captured on the audio recorder, you know, this voice. And I was like, holy shit. And on top of that, we caught, and I'm not talking about, like, false positives. I'm not talking about, you know, easily debunked orbs. But we caught, like, a real fucking orb. Like a real spiritual shooting orb with a tail on it. On film, on camera. Not too long after we heard the voice, you know. And, I mean, it was bright. It was self-illuminating. It was the only one we had all night. It wasn't, I mean, it was outside. It wasn't dusty. There was no moisture to be had. You know, it had not rained. And it was like, it's almost like taking a picture of a light bulb.
I'm not...
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I'm not... did I ever see that photo? I must have.
You might have at some point. But
Yeah.
that was like the only in the entire history of me doing this, and like you're talking like 6 years. That was like legit the only real orb that we ever captured on camera.
I'm not trying to discredit, but it could have been a bug. Who knows?
It could have been. It could have been.
Because you're outside the cemetery at night.
That's true. But it had.
Who knows what you were kicking up in the grass?
It had. Number one, it had like a trail on it. I mean, I'm not talking about like a trail like a bug would leave, like a thin trail. Imagine like you're playing a baseball game or something, right? Or no, better yet, almost like you're watching baseball on Fox, and they got the Fox track, and the baseball players hit the home runs.
Yeah, and the trail.
So so you got the trail of the ball, and it ends up being like a long trail. I'm talking about right at where you got the ball, and then you got where the trail would start, like how thick that trail is. And it's real thick, and then all of a sudden it just stops.
I should say up front that I've always been skeptical of the whole paranormal thing, and I think that's one of the reasons why he invited me on to the team in the first place, because I'm kind of like the voice of reason in some aspects. And in some aspects, I'm not. Some shit that we have seen and heard. I mean, you want to talk about the Germantown thing eventually, when we heard that disembodied voice several times, even on our second visit.
Right.
We heard it again, the exact same thing. There's some shit that I can't explain. But as far as orbs go, that's kind of where I draw the line.
Orbs, there's things in my experience.
I feel like when there's orbs, it's always more of a simple explanation than you would think.
Orbs, and there's two things that kind of, well, there's three, that kind of, as far as ghost hunting goes, where people will be like, hey, look what I got on camera. I'm kind of like, Orbs is one of them. But that is mostly because a lot of people that capture orbs are people that capture them, for the most part, indoors, where it's dusty and light refracts, you know. And speaking of light refraction, the second thing is people taking paranormal pictures of images in mirrors. That doesn't do it for me either.
Right, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So, and the other thing, and it gets more technical, is kind of like hot and cold spots. Like people are constantly talking about hot and cold spots. Well, you got to use a little bit of science to try to debunk the hot and cold spots. It's not going to be an automatic thing. And you usually need some kind of secondary backup to kind of, help with that hot and cold spot.
And I'm aware there's like different classifications of orbs and stuff like that. It's just hard for me to, I guess, just come to the conclusion that yeah, sure, like, that's an orb, like it's a entity, it's a spirit or whatever.
Right.
But I mean, it's just one of those things that nobody will ever really find out, because there's a science to paranormal investigating, but there isn't, like it's not, there's no like real good, there's a good foundation, but it's kind of shaky, you know what I mean? So orbs are kind of like,
yeah.
For me, I'm like, when in doubt, throw it out, and like when I see an orb, I'm like, just toss it. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
All right.
I mean, it's not going to ruin your experience.
No,
one way or another.
It won't at all. So I got into it, and that whole night, like as far as I'm concerned, like I had two things happen. The orb, which I was, and I am still led to believe is legit. Only because the guy I was with had been doing it for like a good year and a half before I came on board, and granted, I was watching, back then, like I said, the Ghost Hunters were big, and Ghost
Right.
Adventures was just getting its start, and there was another paranormal show that had been on for a while. I can't remember the name of it. It had been on probably since even the 90s. And I can't remember, but it was like really big at this point. And
You talking about that MTV show where they would lock people up in like a jail cell for a night or something?
No, it was more like less like probably like one of those shows that came on midnight on like ABC or something.
Unsolved Mysteries?
No, not Unsolved Mysteries, but that they had some paranormal stuff on there too.
Yeah.
No, there was another one. If anybody knows what I'm talking about, they used recreations and stuff like that. It was like very early on paranormal shows, before even Ghost Hunters started. I think that show might have covered that case out in England, the Canterville case. Enfield Poltergeist.
Yep.
Enfield Poltergeist. Jeez.
Conjuring 2.
It's been...
That's an awful fucking movie.
Yeah.
Well, in my opinion.
It's been so long.
I don't know about you, but goddamn.
It's been so long since I've studied and researched and followed any of this stuff. So
no,
it's like,
but yeah.
It's
yeah,
like
that's
starting
Enfield.
to... Yeah. Anyway, so he had also been kind of following what the pros were doing and whatever, and he also kind of had some early on connections to other people doing it, and so I kind of believed that if he said it wasn't a real orb, it was a real orb. But then the voice. It was the voice that we both heard and we both captured, which is actually, you got classifications of EVPs. Now, I used to be a master. That was my forte, was EVPs. And classifying them and being able to tell you what was what and whatever. I have not thought about this in 7 years. Okay? Alright, so you have EVPs, electronic voice phenomena, and that's when you capture that on a audio recorder of any kind of audio recording device. And you hear it, but you didn't hear it with your own ears. It's only on the device. Then you have voice phenomena. And that's when you capture it on the device, but you had also heard it with your own ears. So basically, it's almost like saying, when you're investigating, it's like you think you hear something, right? And you're like, did you hear that? Somebody goes, yeah, I heard that too. Which is great, because now you got two people that heard the same thing. What's even better is capturing it, which is what we did in the cemetery. We had that voice phenomena. It's like a trifecta as far as making sure that it's solidified that you just got a paranormal, experience, firsthand right there, Mm-hmm. So, being that intrigued with what happened my first night out, I was no longer scared, on the car ride home. I was high as fuck. You know what I'm saying? My endorphins were through the fucking roof, and I was like, fucking give me more. I needed, at that point, I'm like, I have a goal. I want to do this. I want to use my ability, and I want answers. I want to know what's going on after we die, or not so much after everybody dies, but do we have the ability to keep a conscience going? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yes,
is it our
yes.
choice to remain here? And if so,
To have some sort of intellect, be able to still have your intellect intact and
right.
be able
Right.
to communicate.
So what I needed to do at that point going forward was it kind of branched off, okay? So like I had this goal, like I needed more evidence. I needed more things to happen. But I needed to experience it all. I needed the stuff that's residual, where like our current lives leave such an impression upon reality that it just stays there and it repeats. It has no intelligence whatsoever. And then I wanted that intelligent haunting. I wanted that answer that somebody decided to stay, and there's a reason why they decided to stay. Whether it's out of anger, whether it's because they felt like they had unfinished business. It was a decision that they made, right? And their conscience about it. Like they can see you and me. They know that if you remodel a house and you take out one door and you put in a new door, they know to use the new door, whereas the residual haunting will still use the old door, and they're coming out of a wall. You know what I'm saying?
They're just hitting the wall.
they're just going into a wall. But what's even more fascinating about all that is you could have the same.
You just hear in the middle of the night, what the fuck?
There used to be a fucking door here. Well, no, because then they would be intelligent. They would just be stupid intelligent.
Yeah, right.
You know?
Hey, there's stupid intelligent people out there.
And it's like, no, I remodeled this fucking house 6 months ago. Where the fuck you been? Oh shit. Yeah, I've been on a fucking hiatus. I was vacationing down in Florida. No, but anyway, no, and then you got the fact that you can have one person, like let's take me for example. Let's say I'm coming in the house after work at 4:45 every day through the same fucking door, taking off my shoes and putting the. I could leave that impression, right? That residual impression that I'm doing that same act. That 100 years from now, somebody could be living in this house and see my residual ghost doing that. But yet, I could die. And I could also choose to stay behind for whatever reason. I could have the residual part of me replaying those moments over and over and still have the intelligent part of me haunting this house. I could have two separate ghosts going at the same time.
I never thought of that, actually.
Yeah. So it's really interesting. So anyway, so that was what I set out to do. And I decided to do it for a while. Eventually, I told the group leaders, I said, I think my brother, because he was good with cameras at that point, and he still is, right?
Yeah.
All right.
I fucking hope so.
So I said, I think he would probably be really good on the team. I said, he's good with the cameras, and he's a hard worker, and I mean, we teach him what to do, and he'll retain it, and he'll do a good job doing it. And that's when you came on board.
Yeah, so I was just sitting at home one night, and you texted me, and you're like, hey, we've got this last minute investigation going on, and do you want to tag along? And I was like, oh yeah, absolutely, fuck yeah. I'm like, what do I have to bring? And at that point you're like, nothing, just if you have a flashlight or something, bring that with you, but otherwise just we've got some extra stuff for you, and just come along. And we went to that house in Illinois, and it wasn't what I expected, but it was also more than what I expected. I thought this house was gonna be super old, like an old Victorian, something you would see like in the Addams Family or something like that. I don't know why.
Right.
But it was just this regular house, and I don't remember the case specifically, but this woman said, I think, oh, dude, I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it now. Mm-hmm. This woman said that she had this man. She kept seeing this man in her basement.
Yep.
And and nothing really happened for the most part. I think I was on edge the entire night, just because it was my first time doing something like this, and it was slightly creepy. Like, you could kind of feel like something was off.
Well, and keep in mind, we're working in pitch black for the most part.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
You know, that's the other thing too that'll really throw you off. It was one thing being in a cemetery and having ambient street light and using flashlights, and you know, it was kind of in the moonlight, you know, was there, but in a house, your light's off.
I mean, wasn't one of our like early taglines like "we do it in the dark" or something like that?
I wanted to do like
some stupid shit like that. Like
there used to be a pistachio commercial that used to run where they'd have different professions of people saying that these people eat pistachios this certain way or whatever. And I was like, ghost hunters do it in the dark, right? Like, I seriously wanted to do a pistachio commercial for ghost hunters where it's like in IR, and you see a ghost hunter with his equipment, but he's cracking open pistachios, and then somebody goes, "Did you hear that?" Yeah, that was me cracking open a pistachio. And then the title card says, "Ghost Hunters, do it in the dark." And I thought it would have been a great pistachio commercial, but instead it ended up being like, I think we like put it on like a T-shirt or something.
Yeah,
I can't remember.
We did something like that.
Yeah.
So whatever. So it was my first time doing it. So I had no idea we were just gonna be in this house. It was like what, 3 or 4 of us? 3? I don't remember who was all there.
Oh, man, there might have been.
It was bare bones though.
It was definitely you, me, one of the founders, and I think there might have been 3 other people because we needed an even amount of people. So there was 3 floors: the basement, the main, and the top. So I think it was 2, 4, 6 in that rotation, if I remember correctly.
Because I stuck with you. You were basically babysitting me.
Or maybe there was 5. I think there was 5. I think there was the 3 of us that were working together, and then 2 other people.
I don't think I ever went like. I was on the first floor, and then I was in the basement. I don't think I ever went upstairs.
Oh, really? Because
Yeah.
I know I did go upstairs because there was an incident.
So maybe at some point
where a razor blade actually moved from one location to the other.
Okay, so maybe then I was with somebody that I didn't know at that point. And that was the other thing. Like I'm socially awkward, so to also just be thrusted in to like a dark area with some people that I don't know, it was really awkward for me. But
right.
I remember. Fuck. Yeah, I just remember everything just kind of feeling off. I mean, this brand new area, these brand new people. I'm in a dark house. I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to do. They're telling me like, oh, we were doing EVP sessions, and that was my first time doing an EVP session, and it's hard to talk to nothing.
Right.
Because you're asking.
Right.
You're just speaking out into the air. And you don't know if you're catching anything until you listen back, you know?
Right.
Unless you're really lucky and there's a voice phenomenon. But, so that's super awkward. So the whole thing just, like, was really weird for me. But I liked it, especially at the end when we were kind of cleaning things up. And the owner came home. And keep in mind, I mean, we're doing this till like 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, and so we're also just exhausted. And I can't think of another time that I was up that late in that period of my life. I was kind of like over my whole party phase, like staying up that fucking late.
Weren't you like 20? What are you talking about? Weren't you
I was like 24. 23, 24?
Oh, were you?
Yeah.
And you were already done with that phase?
Yeah, I'm old. I'm an old soul.
I think I was done at like 29.
Yeah. Well, I dipped back in when I went to college, but anyway, so, but so the owner came home. It was very early in the morning or late at night, whatever you want to say. Owner came home. You guys were talking, and one of the team leaders asked me to grab something from the basement that they had forgotten. So I went down the basement, went to go grab it, and I froze. I froze in place.
I forgot about this.
I froze in place, and I just like, I was about to head up the stairs, and all of a sudden I was just drawn to like one corner of the room. and I couldn't move, and I felt like something was
And when
just
you went up the
fucking
stairs,
at me.
when you went up the
Dude,
stairs, there was like, yeah,
look,
I see
like-
that, I see that. When you went up the stairs, you were entering like the kitchen,
Yeah, yeah.
and then you had the dining room to the left, and then the kitchen continued to the right.
Right. So I was sitting at the base or at the bottom of the stairs, and I froze. I felt like something was watching me, and I looked directly in where I thought it was coming, and I just had to like, I just have to move. I have to go. Like I can't. There's no time to just sit here and just be scared or whatever. And I don't even think I said anything to you guys. I don't think I said anything until after.
Yeah, you said something after. You
I think
didn't
I
say
said something
You didn't.
after.
You didn't come on right into the dining room. Actually, I was wrong. So when you got out of the basement, you kind of like were in the kitchen, and then you had like the living room open up, and then you had a dining room, and that's where we all met around the table.
Yeah.
You didn't say anything at that point when we were still all together. No.
Which is like, I think that's kind of like a no-no or something. Isn't that considered like? Well, you're
I
not
wouldn't say
supposed
it's
to.
a no-no. I would say that like you could have said something, but then it probably would have prolonged it. Probably would have. All right, owners, time for you guys to go away because we're setting back up again. Yeah, because this shit ain't over.
Yeah. And like I said, it was my first time. It took me, I think, quite a while to. I mean, even learn the vocabulary and stuff like that to really just kind of get in the swing of things.
Mm-hmm.
But after I did that, and you asked me, if there was anything in the future that would come up, and if you guys needed somebody extra, if I wanted to come along, I was like, absolutely.
Right. Well, let me break in here for a second because there was like one big part for me. This investigation. Of all the investigations that I've done, there was a lot more times where like nothing happened. Okay, let me just point that out now, and that's typical.
100%. Sometimes it's just sitting in a dark room,
Right,
or a dark house or whatever.
But at this particular investigation, something huge for me happened in that basement. And you were a part of that, and I don't know if you blocked it off, or I don't know if you
No, I
just forgot to
remembered
talk about it.
It was just one of the. Again,
So
Yeah, go ahead.
The team leader said, "Paul, I want you to like use your fucking powers, right, or whatever you want to, whatever he probably said." I'm paraphrasing. So he was like, "You got to do what you do, and let's go in the basement and do it, right?" So you and him were in one room in the basement.
Mm-hmm.
And I was sitting in a chair in a much larger room of the basement. And what I was being used as was like almost like a conduit. Like I'm going to go ahead and conjure up whatever is possibly here, and see if I can get it to react to me. It didn't take long, like at all. And I'm sitting there and I'm talking. And I don't know if you remember, because we didn't have to use walkie-talkies. We were still like in close proximity. You guys were right through a doorway behind me. And I'm talking, and I'm trying to get this thing to react. And then all of a sudden, like, because if you're in the dark long enough, your eyes adjust. And you can start making out shapes and shadows, right? Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, the shadow started to appear. In like the upper corner and here I go. Yeah. The shadow started to appear in this upper corner of the basement. And I could see it. It was like growing like this. And it got to a point where it just stopped and you could like see the outsides of the shadow moving, right? And I'm like telling you guys, like, guys, there's something here.
Yeah, I remember this.
There's a shadow and it's like looking right at me.
And I'm sitting there like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
And before I could even, yeah, right. And before I could even like say anything else, it started moving right at me. And it went through me. And as soon as I could say, and like I got cold, and I mean my hair's already standing up, and my hair was standing up, and I got cold, and as soon as I could gather my thoughts and form words to say what had happened, as soon as I said it went through me, the other gentleman that you were with said something went through him too. Like all of a sudden he had the exact, like it went through me, through the doorway or the wall or whatever, and went through him. Now I don't know if you were affected by that.
No. Well, see, I think in that moment, like,
because you were sitting right next to him.
Oh yeah, In that moment, I was just sitting there, like, thinking, like, man, my brother's been doing this for a while, and he's just been a fucking X-Men, like, this entire time. Like, what the hell is happening? Yeah, I remember all of that. And yeah, I remember you sitting in the room. All you had was an IR light with you. You might have had, like,
And I had it off.
Might have had a recorder with you. I'm not sure.
Maybe, I don't know.
But yeah, I remember being in the room with the other gentleman and just kind of vaguely peering through the door where you were, because I was like, what the fuck is going on? What is happening? Like,
right.
This is not what I expected to happen.
Right.
And also, my skeptical side, I'm just kind of like, also, like, is any of this really happening? Like, what is going on? If what I experienced in the basement at the end of the investigation didn't happen, I probably just would have been like, nah, I'm alright. Whatever happened, whatever fucking thing you stirred up, if that had never happened, like, I would have just been like, yeah, this isn't for me.
Right. And later on that night, something happened where, because now I don't know if it was based on something where they said something in a upstairs bathroom, like some object moved or something. I'm not sure. But I happened to place like a razor, like just a Bic razor, on the edge of a table or maybe like a bathtub. I can't remember. That part's cloudy. And then we were in a bedroom across the hallway at some point. I don't know where you were. I don't even remember who I was with. I was probably with somebody else. There was a rotation.
I know I was in the kitchen at some point.
And all of a sudden there was a noise. We heard like this, like that, but a lot lighter. And I'm like, did you hear that? Yeah. I think that came from the bathroom. And as soon as you hear something or you see something or something's moving, or you gotta chase. You can't just like sit there and be like, So you got to go after it, right? So we started, heading down the hallway into the bathroom, and the razor that I placed on some kind of platform was on the floor. And so that was like the only time I've ever experienced an object moving, and we couldn't figure out. I mean, the windows were closed. There was no kind of vent.
What about the door? Does that count?
There was no door there.
No, I'm talking about much later.
Okay, I'm only talking about this.
Okay.
As far as that investigation goes,
up to that point.
What happened in the basement was huge. The door is a big thing, but I'm talking more or less about like there's something about a door swinging that is like one thing, whereas if you have like this glass here,
that was a heavy ass door.
All right, we'll get to the door. This is gonna be a long video, but now that we're talking about this door, we'll get to the door. But what happened in the basement? No. What happened in the basement was, for me, one of the other big things, because that was the only time anything supernatural actually physically interacted with me. Fast forward a little bit. So there, we each had our own separate things going on, and then when we were together, we had the whole parent. I mean, we did a funeral home. Were you a part of the funeral home too?
In Illinois?
Yeah, Libertyville.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's all right.
Yikes.
Hopefully there's more than one funeral home in Libertyville. So
the homeless guy walked in.
A homeless guy did show up during the investigation, yeah. Nothing really much happened there except the fact that we got to investigate a place where there was an actual cadaver
laying out in the open.
On the slab. And we got to go in there and investigate while that dead person... And I did not go in there.
I did.
I was more on... Because I want to say I'm very religious. I do value religion, and therefore there was like a certain respect that came along with.
I was
that.
very
you can still be respectful.
Yeah.
But it was more or less.
Part of me was like, oh, I'm gonna go see a dead body, but also when I was sitting in there, I didn't talk. Whoever I was in there with tried to do an EVP session. I just kind of sat there, and I remember sitting in there.
I remember who you're doing it with, though. I remember who you're with when you were in that room.
And it was an older woman. It was somebody's grandmother, And I was sitting there looking at this cadaver, and all I could think of was like, here's just literally just flesh and bones on this table, and this thing had a consciousness and a whole life that, like, I don't even know about. And I'm just getting really spacey about it right now because it's just crazy to think of, because you're just like, we do all this bullshit and then you live this whole life for however long you live it, and then you just end up on this table.
Right.
With,
and then eventually
with some asshole like me just looking at you, and you don't fucking know about it. Like,
hopefully not so much like every time you die.
Well, right.
Dies,
I'm not going to show up.
looking at
Yeah,
you.
I'm not going to show up and be like
trying to talk to your ghost or something.
Right? Yeah. No, but you know what I mean.
But that investigation was also a turning point for me, because there was something that happened on the team at that time where I could not recover from somebody else's actions during that investigation. And I eventually left the group. After helping get the group to where they were, the group got really kind of, I wouldn't say big, but I mean, we were getting requests, like a lot of requests from all the way from like up from Sheboygan all the way down into Illinois and out west. I mean, it was decent, and we got a show booked, and I helped out a lot, but something happened, and I wasn't being heard, and so I left. And you stayed on for a while, and you did some other things.
A few months.
You did some other things. But in the meantime, I started quietly then building my own group, because I didn't want to stop. My questions weren't answered yet.
It wasn't the same. It sounds really corny to say, but it wasn't the same without you. I feel like they just wanted to keep doing the exact same places we have already hit time and time again. I don't know what the thinking was as far as that goes.
I don't know either.
But
and I only say I don't know either because, I mean, we still remained friends. There was a little bit of tension. We still remained friends.
It was awkward.
And then even after I got divorced, I still tried to remain friends with him, but it still wasn't the same, only because I thought we would still be friends, but we only saw, I mean, you're talking about like, I saw this guy like once a month, at least minimum once a month, maybe twice. And after the ghost hunting thing, it was down to once every maybe 2 or 3 months. After the divorce, I only saw him like a couple times, 2 or 3 times. I don't know what happened, but like eventually, even at one point, like I was trying to like invite them to do stuff and they wouldn't do anything. They were saying they were busy. He was off doing what he does now with the group. It's not even a group. It's him and his wife, I think, at this point. And then I tried to keep that alive. I sent a Christmas card. He sent a Christmas card back. Next year, I sent a Christmas card. I didn't get one back. Yeah. And eventually, the communication ceased on their end. And so at one point between all that, he did say that he regretted having that other person's actions have happened at that investigation. That he basically was behind that other person, and he regretted letting me walk away, because he said that things would be completely different with that group had he said, "I'll let that other person go. You please stay." Mm-hmm. He told me that, but considering that he let our friendship dissolve too, I don't know how true that is.
Sure. All I can say is that I probably should have left around the time you left, because honestly they didn't do too much. Like I said, we were constantly hitting almost the exact same places that we had just hit.
And weren't you having group meetings too, even during snowstorms? Wasn't that a thing?
I'm the kind of person.
Didn't you have to drive through a snowstorm to have a meeting? And like why wouldn't they have called it off? I thought there was like a meeting.
I remember driving up there with you when there was a snowstorm.
Oh boy, I don't remember driving through I don't like driving through snowstorms, so I remember driving through a snowstorm at one point in my life.
I don't know if I drove them. I'm not sure if I drove
I thought you told me at one point after I left.
There was a time when I just liked driving for some reason. I fucking hate driving now, but
anyway.
Yeah, so I feel like I should have left, but part of me is like I'm kind of loyal to a fault sometimes, and I was aware of the problems you were having. I just didn't really see them like you did until I did see them.
Yeah,
Like,
if you knew this person and the problem that happened, like, or the incident that happened, you'd probably be like, holy fuck, that's fucked up.
and it's
You
like
know?
you're my brother, so like you're gonna be my brother no matter what. And I really enjoyed, and it's kind of what we talked about a little behind the scenes off camera, is like I still really wanted to fucking do this, and I had no idea you were gonna try and do your own thing
Right.
at the time. But then
Well,
yeah,
eventually, like you said, you have your loyalty, and yet I am your brother. Even after I started doing my own thing, you still stuck with that old group for a little bit, for a few more months. But something,
but in those few more months,
while
I don't think we were even doing anything.
yeah, but something happened. Something and I can't remember, but something happened in that group that made you be like, "Fuck this! I'm going over to my brother's group." Something, and I can't remember what it was. Something happened. It might be the meeting. It might be that that there was a big snowstorm, and they still were making you drive to a meeting where nothing was going to come out of it. Because I remember that.
My memory is as blurry as yours.
But it's like I'm not sure about it. But that's what I remember. But I'm not sure if that's
Obviously,
what it
there was a turning point where I was like, my train of thought was probably like, well, if you've got a fucking ghost hunting group, why the fuck would I stay with these
Right.
assholes?
So here's the thing. So then I formed my own. But keep in mind, now there's been drama, right? There's been drama. Drama in ghost hunting is like hand in hand with going out with a voice recorder. If you're ghost hunting and you have a voice recorder, if you're ghost hunting, there's going to be drama. There's drama no matter what you fucking do in ghost hunting.
Yeah.
There was drama in
Comes with
that
the
group.
territory.
There was drama in my group. There was drama with other groups I worked with. It almost seemed like it was...
Everybody's so petty.
Yeah.
It's cliques. It's just different cliques, like butting heads all the time.
Right.
Everybody wants to be the group.
Right. And so by the time I formed my own group, all of a
Nobody
sudden
wants to work together.
there was groups all over the fucking place now. You went, and you know by now that I'm in the Milwaukee area. There must have been like 10 fucking groups in like 3 years.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it was huge.
It was so oversaturated.
You know? And there was one main group that was really trying to vie for everything around here. And technically I think they're still around. But I've looked at their stuff on their website recently, and they do a lot of repeat business. But I'll get there in a second because there's drama there too.
Which is what the group
But-
I was previously with.
They're literally, well, okay,
That's what they were doing.
They still exist too, but now they're doing cryptid stuff.
But,
Okay.
but I'm saying at the time, like that's all they were doing was just repeat. Like, hey, we were just at this theater.
And
Let's
there's
go to
fine
this
with
theater
there's
again.
fine with repeats. I mean, it's fine. Repeats are fine.
It's
My
boring.
group only did one repeat.
It's boring.
I know it's boring,
It's boring.
but if you got shit that happens,
Especially
in
on
the
the
place and
second
you want
and
more
the third
shit.
time when nothing happens, and you're just like, why are we
Well,
still doing this?
Germantown was great that it happened twice.
Well, right.
And we'll get there.
No, yeah, absolutely. That's our bread and butter, baby.
Yeah. So I thought with my own group, there's not going to be any drama. I'm done with drama. I get to control it. I get to say, like, you know, this person's worth having, this person's not worth having. I can see what's going on. Well, drama happened. It's just some people that are just dramatic. Some people that want their own way. It's what's going to happen. But so eventually you came on. We had a group. We had a good group going for a while. And in fact, there was one guy that was in our group that was so enthralled with being my friend that he moved all the way across Milwaukee to live across the street from me.
I sometimes think about him.
I think about him. You know what? I think about. Okay.
What
You
the
know
fuck
what?
happened to him?
Josh. Hop. Okay, I'm going to say it. Josh
Yeah.
Hop. Only because I think about Josh Hop as well.
You might want to edit that later, or just say it. Just you might.
I'm not gonna edit it.
Come to clarity.
Only because when I
because you don't want fucking people to dox this. You don't want him to.
When I was, you can't find the guy. You cannot. He is a fucking ghost.
There are people.
Pun intended, but he is. He is a ghost. He has no online presence whatsoever. He never had a Facebook or a Twitter or an Instagram or a Pornhub or anything like that. He never had anything. He never had shit. You could never find this guy. His girlfriend at the time did, but now his girlfriend is like married to some other guy. But it's like you cannot find this guy. And when I was a Twitch streamer in another life, which maybe you'll find that stuff, maybe you won't. It's still online somewhere, along with the ghost hunting stuff. When I was a Twitch streamer, he showed up like out of nowhere. He like somehow like found me.
It's interesting because
and then he disappeared, and I'm like, wait, dude, no. Like I might want you to like come back again. Don't no. And then he like I couldn't find him.
So you squeezed him too hard with a hug.
Well, and see, there was drama with him too. He left the group because he was pissed at me at one point.
Right. And since we're putting all his shit out there, he was a photographer. I don't know if he's still doing photography, but
And he was good at it too.
you would think you could find his. Can you still find his stuff somewhere?
He had an online
linked to
portfolio.
anything?
He was going to UWM maybe,
That sounds right.
and he had an online portfolio because I remember like he was showing me like this online portfolio website that he was building.
We're really
and
getting
he
into
used to
guy's
have
fucking
it.
business right now.
He used to have it, but you can't find the guy. I'm telling you, you can't. Because at one point when I tried to reform the group for an anniversary, and we were going to hit up a location, like the Sloss Furnaces or something like that. I can't remember.
Yeah,
We were going to hit up or Eastern State Penn. We were going to hit up a location that was in the plans to hit up to investigate before the group disbanded. Before I broke it up, I broke up the group. And I really wanted him, and I wanted somebody else too, but the other guy was kind of a flake too. We'll just say his name's Mike. It sounds like Mike. His name's Mike. And I really wanted them both on the group, but I could not find Josh. I couldn't find Josh. I even went, get this. So when I formed my own group, I went to Craigslist, and I put an ad out there. Well, I
How
got
many prostitutes did you get?
Well, I got one of them that you ended up dating. So anyway,
Touche.
so I went to Craigslist and I put an ad out, and that's where I got most of my investigators in the beginning. And then I interviewed them like at a Starbucks or something like that. And I had like, there was a lot of interest. I had to whittle down a lot of people to, like with you and then my ex-wife who never really joined us on anything, to like another 4 people or something like that, right? So I went to Craigslist again when I wanted to find Josh. I'm like, Josh, Hop, if you're out there and you see this, you were involved in hunting ghosts with me. You need to get back in touch with me or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And you know what happened? Is I got emails be like, my name's not Josh Hop, but if you need an investigator, I want in on your group. And I'm like, here we go again, but it's not going to happen because I wanted Josh.
Yeah.
But Josh, because I figured if
Did you
Josh
ever meet
found
up
it
with
once
these
before.
people?
No, because the group never reformed because I was sick and I needed surgery.
Right.
And I put something out there after we had met initially. That
How do you know it
was
just
gonna
wasn't
happen.
him fucking with you?
No.
See? I don't know. You never
No,
know.
but Josh, if it's somehow you magically find this again, hey.
Hit us up, baby.
My email is potationrotation@gmail.com. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram. The links are below.
You can find me when you find him.
That too. Processes of 7 degrees of bacon products.
Baconator.
We went to Iowa, Colorado, Kentucky, Illinois.
Oh, yeah, you guys did go to Colorado.
You went to Colorado with me right before
talking
my
about-
divorce. It was the trip that when we did the Stanley.
Didn't you guys do something else?
No.
Oh.
Is when you and I did the Stanley with a friend of mine, and we
Right.
wore our gear
right.
and we still brought our and we were professional about it. It was a tour.
It was a tour.
But him and I did the
undercover
Right.
investigation.
right, because you couldn't actually I think reserving the Stanley for a ghost hunter was near impossible.
Yeah.
And that was the trip that made me decide that I wanted a divorce. Good old Colorado.
Yikes.
Love ya. Anyway, so drama followed the group, and there was some good things that came out of it, some bad things that came out of it. But we did find some good people to work with, and I'm going to say one of them. His name is Michael, from another group a little bit further north of Milwaukee. I still talk to him. We're still friends on Facebook. Don't talk to him as often, but when I thought about reforming the group for the anniversary hunt, he was actually going to be part of it. And he did come to Indiana with us once, maybe twice. He came to on some investigations with us a few times.
He's there a lot.
He was like the only. He was like, you talk about
He was
drama.
consistent.
Yeah, you talk about like a drama-free guy. He was drama. He was like the most drama-free.
Yeah.
Like you look up drama-free in the dictionary, you see his fucking picture. Okay. So kudos to Michael.
He would. I mean,
Not the same Mike I was talking about before. Michael.
he would almost dissolve drama if there was any. You know?
And there was even drama in his own group. And he eventually kind of stopped with his own group. But he was still willing to work with us. Like he didn't want to like really join our group, but
he
he
tried
was
to keep it as fucking simple as possible. It's not a hard thing to do.
right.
Like, you just see these people for a couple hours, you know, for however long, you know, an investigation is, and then you almost don't see each other for maybe a month.
Well, and then you'd have a monthly meeting
Right, but still,
for
like,
a couple hours. So you were together like, you know, like 7, 8, 9, 10,
I mean, I
11,
don't
12,
do social media that
10 hours a month.
Yeah. I mean, I don't do
And then
social, and there's interactions on social media and shit, but whatever.
Or you have to like call
It's not
somebody when
hard.
you're doing evidence review. You have to call somebody up, or you have to be like, hey, can I send you this file? That kind of stuff.
And you know what? And I think that's what it comes down to is evidence review and just reliance on
Evidence review is
people to be consistent.
You talk about
And people don't want to do the homework. They just want
Right.
to experience the thing.
right. That's the thing. Evidence review is a fucking beast.
People don't want to do the homework.
If you've got an 8-camera DVR system, you've got 6 investigators, and 4 of them have audio recorders, and then 3 more of them have their own digital cameras, and whether they're taking video with them or whatever. And then you got like some, like the DVR cameras might be static, but then you got some mobile cameras too on tripods that might be moved around. So you take all of that times how many hours you're investigating. And
Yeah.
people have to watch that. Sometimes you have to watch it twice to make sure you don't miss anything. Like there's stuff on Ghost Hunters, or even now, because now there's like a whole, like this is starting to come back now with Ghost Nation, and Ghost Adventures is still on. So you got the 2 guys from Ghost Hunters with their own separate shows on right now, and Ghost Adventures is still on, like I said. So there's almost like a resurgence, and I think there's still some other shows that have been on for a while that have not been. I don't know if they're in reruns. I think they still have shows like Paranormal, Cops, or I don't know.
Mhm.
But I forgot where the fuck I was going with this.
Editing.
Yeah.
Or not editing. Research or
The review.
reviews. Yeah.
Yeah. So they don't show a lot of that stuff on TV, right? So they're doing the investigation for an hour-long TV show, and sometimes these hour-long TV shows, they do like 3 nights of investigations. We were only doing 1. But they don't show a lot of, you know, they might like show like 2 minutes of like, Steve, did you listen to this, Steve? You know, and it's like,
Right.
holy cow, you know, and it's like, okay, but that's TV too, you know, so who knows? And I'll get to that also in a minute. Like everybody wanted to do the investigation,
They wanted to experience.
but there were some people on the team that didn't want to do the homework of actually going through.
No, I understand. Like, people have lives. People have kids. People have jobs. People
Correct.
have wives and girlfriends.
But one of the
husbands.
things was like,
But-
you're done with the investigation. This
Yes,
is what you're expected
it
to
was
do.
not-
If you can't do it, don't do this.
It was not a surprise when we had these people brought onto the group or into the group. It wasn't. It's not like all of a sudden we were done with an investigation. We were just like, hey, all right, here's all this stuff. Let us know what you find. Like it wasn't like that. It was very much after the investigation. There's some hard work, and there are ways. I mean, not all of us work office jobs. You can't just sit there and listen to a DVR for however long and get through it in one day. But for those newcomers, for the people that were new to the whole ghost hunting thing, Paul, especially, but then me, we did a lot of the work. And especially Paul, I think you watched tons of the video footage.
But yeah, I did take on a brunt of the work because I honestly thought that
And we're not
I'm
even
the only person that could do it right
we're not even
and get it done on time.
We're not even talking about just finding like results of that investigation. We're talking about the website, social media stuff,
Right.
videos that we would
making
post on
making
YouTube,
the
like,
shirts that we wear.
right. Like you were going all fucking out, and like I did a lot of the work at post investigation, and the homework we would assign to other people was literally basically just whatever
you had maybe on you or something. At least just review.
They were responsible for their own thing.
Right. I was doing the DVR. I maybe gave somebody a remote camera to review or something or something. But I was taught. You're talking like, and the thing is we tell a client, hey, we'll get back to you in a week. We literally have like 7 days. And not only in that 7 days, on the 7th day, do you have to like set up that's very rattling. Do we have to set up another appointment with the client to go over what we found or what we didn't find, for that matter? But after all that review, I had to compile that all onto a file onto my laptop to bring along, And I also, on top of that, typed up an actual like dossier to actually give them to. Which I don't know if a lot of groups did that or not, but that's something that I did. So that basically it basically outlined everything I was actually verbally saying, right? So, I thought that the only way to get that done with some people that had kids, I didn't have kids, or some people that were lazy, that obviously I was going to be the one that I could take on the brunt of the work, and I would sit. And over a 4-day period, I was going through maybe 40 hours worth of different things,
which is crazy. Because especially when we got the DVR eventually, I think I maybe reviewed DVR footage.
And some people would come over. They'd come over and watch the DVR with me, or I'd bring the file over to somebody else's house, and we'd just sit there and
Just sit there and watch.
They're like, wait, what was that? And you rewind it a little bit.
Yeah, right. Yep.
And you'd have to have the headphones on.
It's not all glamorous.
You can't have.
It's not what you see on TV.
Right. It's a pain in the ass. So